Hello and welcome to this week's Ectohead. And so here we are again on the eve of one hopes another official drop of UFO footage, CGI recreations by the US government. But before that happens, if and when it happens, because the tranches are a little hit and miss really. At this point, the official government releases of the information that it has pale into insignificance with the footage that's being captured every day by people around the globe, which show us more tantalizing and more tangible objects than are currently being showed via official channels. And part of that unofficial disclosure is the channel qtecqot. They've released interesting video footage, and I looked at the last drop in one of my previous videos, and so it's only right and proper that I should look at this drop. Interestingly enough, qtecqot has referenced Ivan 0135, who, if memory serves correctly, was the original source of the Skinny Bob footage that we got years ago. And this behind me is the current drop by qtecqot, who I might just call from this point on Qtec. Shall we? The video contains sample edited fragments of videotapes 04, 06 and 07. Tape 04, edited fragments. Case 24, Winter Harvest, 020044 to 0203, 13. Tape 06, edited fragments. Case 34, The Bedbug, audio, 023015, 023035. Tape 07, edited fragments. Case 38, Mantis Arrival, 05714 to 058. Case 40, Species 13, 024329 to 024335. Case 40, Species 13, 024407, 024419. Now, where it says Winter Harvest and The Bedbug, it occurred to me, who on earth titles these things? What's in the larger segments or the original segments of footage that have led to these names being ascribed to this footage? And then it occurred to me that Winter Harvest doesn't half sound like a classified operation. I mean, you can hear him say it, Operation Winter Harvest. It makes perfect sense. However, where it says The Bedbug, I'm not sure I've ever heard of an official military or intelligence operation that starts with the word the. I can well imagine it being Operation Bedbug, but not Operation The Bedbug. But I digress. Let's continue. The following footage contains material some viewers may find disturbing. So here we have what appears to be a heart to the left of the frame, with some appendages coming off, some tubes, and at the end of those tubes some spiky balls. And they do appear to be a kind of vegetable or flesh type matter. It's an alien, so who knows, frankly. But I'm going to highlight something here that just continues, for me at least, in my viewing of the footage, and that is the potential for this to be an AI creation. Now, there's no way of knowing, and these are just suspicions. But if you were to prompt AI and say, give me something like a recognizable heart, and then branching off from that heart, we've got some interesting internal alien organs, then AI may very well give us this. I can't tell you specifically why I think it's AI, but having looked at a lot of AI images and footage, this is somehow ringing a bell. So let's continue. Now this is an eyeball, and this for me is somehow more convincing. And again, if you were to ask me to pin down why, I would have to say it's less uniform, more, dare I use the phrase, organic in its composition. But again, could it be AI? Yes. Could it be real? Yes. Here we go, a bit more fiddling about with internal organs. It seems very unsurgeon-like, the way these things are being handled. A bit of a mask. You can see what looks like a head there just behind the mask. There you go, I've managed to freeze it there. Is that the head of an alien? Just behind the fingers of the surgeon as he's adjusting his mask? Who knows? So the next element is the audio footage, and you're going to be hearing it straight through the microphone that's on the camera there. I am going to turn it up in order to give us the best chance at hearing what's being broadcast. Sounds like the Soup Dragon. Now, for those of you who know what the Soup Dragon sounds like, you'll know what I was referencing. But what earthly use is that to us? A piece of audio which is so indistinct as to be almost, it's kind of like insulting in a way. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? It's just, what are we supposed to do with this? Then there's that rhythmic, almost sounds like a drilling sound, a sound. It's difficult to know whether they're speaking Russian or any other language that isn't English. It's certainly not Mediterranean languages, I don't think anyway. But it could just be audio from a movie, slowed down and heavily processed, with loads of bass on it, a little bit of phase. I don't know. It's, unless we know more or we can glean more from it, and I've heard it a few times now and I can't, it's worse than useless. And talking about worse than useless, have a look at this. It looks for all the world like an outtake from James Cameron's The Abyss. Some voices. Is it underwater? Now, I've looked at this a few times and I can't really make head or tail of it. I may have just sort of started looking at it in the wrong way, and so consequently I'm stuck with that viewpoint in my mind. But I'll be honest with you, this beats the shit out of me. I mean, this may become useful in the future, but right now. And finally, we get to what I suppose you'd call the money shot. And this, for me, smacks the most heavily of AI. That this footage and the footage that we've seen previously has been heavily vintaged, using various filters over the top of the AI footage in order to give it more authenticity. And I think I said this about QTec's last video footage. There's a nice reaction from the flash. The audio matches up with the flash. Then there's this eye drop that goes on, and a sound which is the alien reacting to the eye drop, potentially. And there you have it. It's really infuriating. I can't help but not give my full backing to the QTec footage. It's too fragmented. It looks heavily, I'll say it, doctored, both in terms of making the footage look old and the audio. segments of the footage literally show us nothing, and the whole thing upon first viewing just leaves you feeling like you've watched a movie that was made by Hollywood. You don't feel like you've watched something real. But at this point, I want to go back to one part of the footage which is so quick, so fleeting, that it piqued my interest. And this is a bit of footage which happened just before the surgeon adjusts his mask on his face, and you see the head that I pointed out earlier. Now what you can see here in the frame is a hand here holding an instrument, and the instrument is being manipulated like a kind of just a movement like this, but obviously in that orientation. And something is being placed into the corner of the eye, and you can see it, but it's so quick. I would suggest you watch this. The eye does move slightly from this here that way, looking in that direction. Now, oddly, out of all the footage that we see in this release, this, for me, is the most convincing. There's something about this which doesn't fit in with the rest of the footage. It isn't helped by the fact that it feels, upon viewing, like these images throughout have been cropped from larger, fuller, more complete frames. That what you see here is actually just a crop of a larger, or what should be a larger frame. And this again leads me to believe that the majority of it is AI. That if we saw the rest of the frame, there would be content within that which would just tip us off to the fact, oh, this is just some guy screwing around and he's hoaxing. And once again, this leaves us with the uncomfortable truth that as the official tranches of videos that are being released are extremely weak source and infuriating, another area of the government could be paying for this, releasing this very dissatisfying footage in order to just muddy the waters, to throw us off the scent. After all, if under Trump's government there's a push for disclosure, then why couldn't there be, under the auspices of Arrow and other legacy institutions, a push for non-disclosure? And this is the problem that we find ourselves in now with the field of ufology. We don't need debunkers like Shermer or Philip Klass anymore. We've got technology on our side. And this brings me back to a point that I made earlier, that out there in the internet, footage is being released every day by individuals who are genuinely catching things that are unusual in the skies. And channels like Third Phase of Moon, Eyes on Cinema, etc., are showing us the reality of this phenomena, unedited, unfiltered, and unadulterated. This phenomena started with accounts from real people. And for all the government tranches and for all the videos that channels like QTech are releasing, they don't really take us any closer to any kind of, well, even partial resolution. The footage that's being captured by ordinary people on their phones across the planet is much more compelling than any of this, and leads me to believe something that I've always suspected, that disclosure, when it comes, will come from the people. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe and share. It really would help the channel. And until next time, bye bye.